Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Vroom podcast. It is your host, Fernando Mercado, and we are back today. We're back on a Monday, actually, so that's awesome. It's cool to be back a little earlier in the week than I normally am. Hopefully, we can do this going forward. But we're back. We had a small little break, a little summer break, if you will. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks or something. We essentially just took a break for the F1 championship. I think I just followed that because we just had an F1 race this weekend. So yeah, it took some time to kind of think about the series and what I want to do moving forward. I think I want to create a product that is engaging, intriguing, and that makes you guys want to watch every week. You know, a place that you can come back to and be like, oh, yeah, I like that dude's videos. I wanna come back and watch every week and listen about the races if you couldn't watch them, or if you watch them and you just want to know about my thoughts. And I think I'm learning what that means, you know, and how I can provide that for you. So I pretty much do that every week, where I just kind of start here and I'm like, this is where I'm at right now with the show and what I'm trying to make for you guys. Yeah, I like kind of starting easy, kind of starting with where I'm at right now. I feel like, you know, we're friends. This scenario here is an interesting one, and I want it to feel like a little homecoming. You know, that's why I'm in my jammies every time. I'm just chilling at home as if I just finished watching the races. You know, and we're on the couch talking about it. I got my boy Rex over here. His name is Rex now. I know. I think in a previous video short, his name was Oscar. We have now come to name him as Rex. So yeah, Rex is a little beat up. He and if you don't know what I'm talking about, because you're listening on Spotify, the one person, or Apple Music or Apple's podcast. Sorry, but Rex is this little like T-Rex that my friend who was staying in my apartment for a while left, and my cats claimed him immediately. And as you can see, they've done some damage to Rex. Yeah, his mouth has a hole in it now. So yeah, our little T-Rex buddy is kind of hurt, but he's always gonna chill in the corner of our episodes. I have other cat toys too that I'll introduce as we go along in the episodes. But yeah, Rex is here to join us today. Assaulted there in the corner by my cats. Yeah, so this episode, a lot of time has gone by, and I had tried to write. I wrote a kind of an episode where I compile everything together, and I talk about, you know, what happened during the races, kind of my typical episode format. And then I just kind of realized, obviously, as I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to change the format because it's not really serving me anymore. I feel like it's not helping me talk about racing in an exciting way. And so I thought for this episode, since so much time has passed, let's kind of run it different. Let's kind of go off the cuff here, and I'm just kind of talk about the season as a whole. I'm sorry, my cats are currently using their litter box, and they like to scratch at the litter box, so there might be some of that going on. And if there isn't, then that's also okay. But yeah, he's messing with his litter. All good. Yeah, so I think the best way to go about doing this is, I'm just going to talk about the races, kind of overview, how they went, and just for how the season has gone for me as a viewer, especially as like a first time watching all of it, you know. This is my first time I get to sit down and watch the full seasons. And it has been, I think, across the board, across all 3 seasons, like a really good year so far. And yeah, I think I'm gonna also talk about like my thoughts going forward. For, you know, IndyCar's over, but F1 still got plenty of racing, and you know, NASCAR is in the playoffs, so gotta kind of figure out, talk a little bit about what I'm expecting there, and my plans for the show and going forward, how everything can move. So yeah, let's strap in. Let's get ready. So I want to let's kind of take this order through races that I watched. I started watching the Bitna Grand Prix of Portland, and it was a good race. I think Portland was a fun race. That was one where I was looking at Pato, especially. I thought Pato might have a good opportunity to kind of keep his championship fight. As we know that did not happen, and Will Power actually won that race, which was pretty incredible. I think the Will Power situation at present is it's kind of tragic. He's this incredible driver who's done so much in his IndyCar career. They call him the fastest driver on the field because if I'm not mistaken, has the most poles won over the course of an IndyCar career. So he's already, made history. And it's not like he's not been fast this season. He's just had a lot of problems. But David Malukas, who drives, I believe, for AJ Fort Racing right now, he is the favorite to then take Power's position at Penske, which is the top team. And that kind of leaves Power with no seat, which is the travesty because he's the kind of driver that deserves to be on the field. Now, I think had he gone the whole season without anything, you could probably make a strong case for it being semi-over for him, or at least, his time at Penske not deserving. And we'll kind of get to this with the next episode when we talk about this last weekend's race. But before this last weekend, Will Power was the only Penske winner this whole year, which is a crazy thing. Now, that's not very normal. So I think that the fact that Will Power just put down such a masterclass that race, he had an incredible pace. He was aggressive, and I just remember it being really fun watching that dynamic alongside watching Daly and Rasmussen having that little moment. I think that Raz is this kind of driver that has this great aggression and this, power behind the wheel, and he really he pushes it a little bit sometimes, and I think he hasn't always been a popular person on the field because of that. But then, he did kind of run Connor Daly off, and Daly got really mad, and they were racing, and it's like, does it matter? I think it's too long after that. That kind of drama really doesn't matter anymore. But I think that Daly is a great driver, but I think Raz has man, I don't know if it's it. Maybe it's but it's not. I can't say it's the car. I think that he maybe has the slight edge on aggression and racecraft there, because he can at least he can save it. I mean, Rasmussen just drives that car on the edge. I think that really is the difference maker there, and I would say that anyone would have a difficulty going up against him on any track that he's pushing you on, because he's just not really going to let you have that line. You're going to be the one to relent, and you're not going to like it. And if you don't, you're going to end up like Daly in the wall. So yeah, that's that moment. And I think that it was a fun race overall. I think that was also the race where Lundgaard got second place. He had a grid penalty, so his pole position that he won, he did not get to take full advantage of. I think he started P7. So he had to really make up a lot in terms of, I mean, a P7 to a win isn't anything crazy, but with Pelot, and you had Will Power, I mean, he really had to fight for that win, especially around the end of that race. I think he was either low on fuel, or his tire degradation was kind of coming into play there, so he had to really hold out in front of Pelot, which he did, which was awesome. And that kind of Pelot-Lundgaard match was a lot of fun to watch. yeah, Portland kind of set us up really well, I think, for the end of the season, but also for the Milwaukee race that we'll talk about after. And I think that race, most importantly, I think the biggest takeaway from Portland was that give Power a seat. Power deserves a seat. He is one of the best drivers out there. So, yeah, fix it, Penske. I don't think David Malukas is ready for Penske. I'm gonna be honest. I think David Malukas still, he needs a win. I think he needed a win. And he didn't get one. So I don't believe that moving him to Penske is going to solve that problem. So yeah, let him cook a little bit. Let him cook a little bit. He needs maybe another year before he, I think, is ready for that Penske seat. Moving forward, if I'm not mistaken, the Cookout 400 was next. No, I lied. It's the bowl. It was Go Bowling at the Glen. It was the Glen. We are gonna move forward to the Glen. That was the next race. How did that go? How do you think the road course went? I'm gonna give you another second. Yeah, SVG won. If you weren't there for that, or if you forgot, SVG won the road course. Yeah, that was pretty evident. He's crazy. I mean, I'm gonna bring it up again. He drove in supercars. If you don't know what supercars is, watch some highlight reels. That's like European NASCAR, except without the ovals. Like the aggression, the slamming, the FUs and everything. All of that is very, it feels very American, right? And a lot of times they're driving American muscle cars. I mean, they drive Toyotas and other stuff too, but they drive Mustangs. You know, Ford has a manufacturing team with them, so they drive American cars, American muscle, and they have American feeling. And I think SVG, that's why that transition just kind of works so well. And they're heavy cars, they're tanks, and NASCARs are tanks. So I think that people really don't believe in SVG, and I get it. I think the him being from outside of America, I'm not even gonna say NASCAR, because it really is his Australian foreign otherness, which is really funny to me. As the reason to him not being able to ever win an oval, or not being good enough for NASCAR, because he hasn't won an oval too. And I think that it's only a matter of time. And I think, as we've seen progressively, even this last playoff race, there were moments for him. And there were moments for him in one of these races too. So I think in the Coke Zero Sugar 400, which we'll talk about a little later. So there's definitely space for SVG to improve and win a race. Now, do I think he's going to win an oval this year? I don't know. I really don't think so. I don't think we're going to see him be a NASCAR winner this season, but I think him moving forward in this way and providing himself with an opportunity to be in the playoffs and show that he does have credibility as a driver is insane, is great. And I think the more reps of him driving and being in the playoffs can't be a bad thing. So yeah, but other than that, he killed it at the Glen. I think the Glen is a fun track, and it's also a weird track and a very difficult track. And it made this race wasn't super memorable to me. I think SVG dominating the whole time obviously kind of made it like, all right, I don't know what's gonna happen. Blaney kind of was there sometimes. He did win pole, so that's great, and he stayed in the mix in the top 10, so not a bad race for him, especially. And I think that Byron also obviously had a great race, seeing as how he clinched the regular season win, which is great for him. Guy goes from sim to racing to real racing. I think that's the dream story. So I think that's really wonderful for him. But yeah, this race overall was kind of I was kind of asleep for this one. I'm gonna hold you. I didn't sleep through the whole thing. I napped a little bit, maybe for like a stage, and then I rewatched the stage, obviously. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I don't remember there being that many cautions here. So yeah, it was a pretty standard, race. That was my quick sum on the Go Bowling at the Glen. So we're gonna move next to the Cookout 400. Where Austin Dillon had his redemption. Now, I saw the clip of Austin Dillon destroying Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, which was really funny because he just drove with no regard for any other car in front of him. And he was like, I think he said, yeah, I would do anything to win. I would do whatever it takes, and that's what I did. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you did, and that doesn't mean that's what you should have done, because that's not how you race. But that's okay. That's okay, Austin Dillon. You take your win if that makes you feel better. But he came back this year and he was like, I can actually win this race. And it was because, and he was doing something really interesting that I noticed that I didn't notice it. They noticed it, the commentators, and I'm going to relay it to you now and just say that it was my idea. I noticed it. He had this interesting entrance and exit into the each turn. He wouldn't go all the way to the wall. I don't remember if he did it on both sides or just one, but he wouldn't go all the way to the wall on that exit. He would just kind of go a little under it, and that for some reason really seemed to have given them the edge that race, and no one could stop him. Is awesome for him. And he kind of had a pretty, I don't remember him necessarily dominating. I remember 23-11 really coming out the gate. I mean, Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, I think, had strong races. Bubba ran most of the time. He led a lot of laps, if I remember correctly, and that's kind of been Bubba's thing throughout. Since his Brickyard win, he's just been up in the front, but hasn't been able to stick it there. The closest time was, I think, this most recent race, so that's a better, outcome for him. But yeah, it was. He kind of fell off later. But Dylan really was able to execute on the strategy, too. I think that he pitted in a kind of pivotal moment with his crew chief deciding when that moment would be, and it set him up with the right tires, freshness, I guess, so that way he could hold out to the end of the race. And yeah, I just remember that race sticking out because I enjoyed it for the most part, and I remember Austin Dillon's win just being really, really compelling. I think that's a great story. Come back, show your competitors, hey, I know y'all thought I can't really win this, but you wrong. I can. I got this. You don't. And now he's in the playoffs. So good on Austin Dillon. That would be the Cookout 400. Moving on to the Snap-on Milwaukee 250. Now these next two races, I think, are some of my favorite races this entire season. I think that the driving, racecraft, story going into it, it was all made. It couldn't be more perfect. I think that this was the race where Christian Rasmussen won, first time IndyCar winner, and I think this was the first time they said that there was a first time IndyCar winner since last year or the year before that when Lundgaard won his first race. So that's awesome, and he deserves it. I mean, he's been really performing exceptionally well all season, and he's had little pockets of moments where maybe he could be a top contender there, and he just came out. I don't know what happened in Milwaukee, but he just found magic and won. And it was kind of undeniable. He was really tearing through the field, and his most exciting point when he took over from Palou, he just consistently rode the outside, kind of like Connor Daly does. just fearless, man, through those turns. He was just, and he had the grip too. He was just able to hit the throttle and get out in front of Palou. And there were a couple moments where Palou could have gone in, but just Rasmussen held it till the end, and it was really exciting that whole time. I think I had my biting my nails the last 20-30 laps of that race. And I think that is the last IndyCar race we're going to talk about for the evening, and the kind of the last before we talk about the last race of the season next week or on our next episode. But I think this sets us up. I'm not gonna say in an interesting place. I think it's never interesting when the determination of everything is already done, right? Like, first place is the championship has been won by Palou. He's just waiting for the last race so he can get his trophy. And Pato at Milwaukee was able to, clinch and secure his second place vice championship win this season, which is huge for him, big for Pato. And I think that as a Pato fan, I can't wait to see him be at that top step, because he's going to get there. He's incredibly talented. And so I think that the Raz win puts us in a place where now, who wants their dignity? There are obvious answers. All three Penske's. Will Power would like to cement a seat. Joseph would like to turn around this no good for nothing year with a win. And McLaughlin would also like to turn this year around with a win. I'm sure Malukas would love a win. There's tons of drivers. It kind of sets us up where who's trying to set up for next year. And I think that overall, I'll give my kind of cap on IndyCar next episode, but I really have enjoyed this season of IndyCar in the sense that I have enjoyed watching how intense the racing is. I think that I have come to realize how truly exceptional the driving in IndyCar is, and how fun that it is to watch. It is sometimes more engaging to watch some of the IndyCar races than it is to watch some of the NASCAR races in totality, just because of you get the F1 feel of this open wheel seat, open wheel car, and just wow, words just failed me there. So sorry. That power in the car, the speeds in which they are going at in those circles and those ovals on road courses. It feels like our American version of F1, is what I'll define it as. And it feels just as exciting as watching an F1 race. And I think that in and of itself is a strong recommendation, because F1, I think to me, it is the pinnacle of racing, of watching, of races to watch, races to take in, the level of racing that they're at. F1 is the most exciting to me. I think, on any given weekend, NASCAR, IndyCar can take that second. But also, sometimes I have more fun watching a NASCAR race. I think watching NASCAR this weekend was the most exciting racing I saw this weekend. So I've had my problems with the F1 season, but I think that IndyCar is a sleeper hit. I think that I've given some crap to the Fox presentation of IndyCar. Honestly, I feel like the presentation is good, actually. I wish the ability for more people to watch it existed. I wish this wasn't something that you only could watch on cable. I think that the idea of that is semi-ridiculous, and I know they try to spread it around, using Amazon Prime, and they've used, I think some of the races were on Peacock for a little bit, I know that this is how we try to offset the cable thing, but like, guys, like I don't know. We should be thinking globally here, especially for IndyCar. NASCAR feels so American that I'm almost like, this is okay. Like, can be like American football, or like American basketball, or baseball, where it's just like, these are very particular sports of this country, and I understand why they do it the way they do. The way that it's televised. Europe is a little more open about that stuff, it seems. But I don't know. I think that IndyCar, because of also how diverse the racers are, they're from across the world, it should be more available to more people, easier than waiting on YouTube. Watching races on YouTube for free is awesome, and the fact that IndyCar and NASCAR do that is exceptional and incredible, and it is partially because of the fact that they are, on cable, is why they're posted for free. And this might just be me. You guys can let me know. But I feel that I would pay, at this point, with all the crazy subscriptions, the whatever $80 to $120, hopefully normal people pricing, a year, $10 to $20 a month, to be able to do what NFL does and MLB does and NBA, where I can watch all the games, out of market games, live in market game, or out of market games, whatever, watch them in my home live, and watch all the replays, whether or not it's in market. So, like, I would pay the money to do that equivalent for NASCAR, IndyCar, especially if I can watch previous seasons, if the documentaries are on there. There's so many. There's ways to capitalize on it, and we're gonna get an IndyCar video game too, which is gonna be awesome. I've been waiting for that. So, I think it's a great time to be an IndyCar lover, and I think next year is gonna be even better. I think this year was pretty okay in terms of the year itself, but I think I learned how incredible the racing in IndyCar actually is. So while I don't know if this is necessarily a memorable season, I do, and I'm going to partially blame the hybrids on that. I do think that this season was a great showing to me as a new watcher, how incredible IndyCar racing can be. So thumbs up on that. Yeah, I think I summed up IndyCar there with the Milwaukee. Yeah. And now we're gonna move to the Coke Zero Sugar 400, which I'm gonna be honest, this was probably my favorite race of the year so far. Across all races. I think that the heart-pounding last couple laps of this race were insane, and it was chaos. This entire race was chaos. I don't know how. There's a 12 car pileup, ended so many people's nights. I'm pretty sure that ended Bowman's night. There's just so many things. There's just so many things going into this race. Like, first off, who's going to take the last spot in the playoffs? Is it going to be a new driver taking the last spot, or are we going to have a repeat driver, win? Which that also goes in question with whoever's going to technically take the last spot, the last technical spot, if we stay in this current field, right, between Tyler Reddick and Alex Bowman. One or the other, either they both stay or one of the other stays. It was kind of convoluted the way the points were working out, but after this 12-car pileup, which happened stage 1, stage 2, something like that, Bowman's out of the race. Reddick got hit way earlier, but managed to stay in the race. And so now that Bowman's out, that kind of automatically puts Tyler Reddick into playoff contention. So now the only thing that is left is either Alex Bowman is knocked out by a new winner, which is very probable because I think there were 4 or 5 new winners up front, or a previous winner wins and Alex Bowman is still in just based on points. So there was a lot of options that could have happened. And the way it kind of ended up working out is that we had an insane last two. I want to say last 10 laps were nail biting, but the last 2 laps were absolutely like some of the most insane racing I've seen all year. Eric Jones was in play. I think Ryan Preece might have been in play as well. I don't remember who else was in play. I think we had crap. Crap. All my notes are all jumbled up. Oh, yeah, I think Ty Gibbs was also up there. Kyle Larson is someone. It was the person I thought should have won the race had everything gone according to plan. He was up in the front a good amount of time. He could just never get the run, So Daniel Suarez also had an absolutely insane run. He got second place, and I've kind of just glossed over Daniel Suarez throughout all of our talks, but Daniel Suarez over the last 3 races has greatly improved ever since he got dropped off of Trackhouse, and getting the second place on this drive and almost winning. It was a photo finish. He has proven that he still deserves that seat in Cup. I'm telling you, it's not like a fluke. He had a rough season, and sadly, he was able to kind of piece himself back together at the end of the season, knowing that he has no seat, and show why he should be in here, because he can be in the midfield and he can run in front. You just have to give him a good car, and I really think that he deserves to be on the Cup field, and I hope a team sees that and gives him an opportunity. Because I really still want to see Daniel in Cup. But the winner of the race, and very well deserving, Ryan Blaney from 12th. I think he was in 12th. Went for the win, and Suarez was right behind him, giving him the push. He came from 17th. So they both had such an incredible run, and I think that they just, like, the photo finish was I think I stood up at the end. I think I was on my feet from the anxiety. It was so awesome and worth it. It was such a fun race to watch, and Ryan Blaney is one of my favorite drivers. I don't have if I have a favorite NASCAR driver right now, but Blaney's certainly coming up there because he just pulls out such fantastic wins from nowhere. And it's just miracle work, honestly, what he can do in that car and facing adversity. He's the king under pressure. And that's why he's a NASCAR champion. And I think he has it this year. I think he can win it this year. I think going into the playoffs, right, we're going to talk about how the first playoff race went in Darlington next episode. But I think going in, who am I anticipating winning? We have a lot of great options. I think there's a world where Denny could win if the car works, if he doesn't get it crapped out on him. And there were moments in Darlington, but, I think that, and there are moments throughout the rest of the season. He always has troubles on pit road, but I think Denny has a strong shot this year. I think he has one of his strongest shots he's had. I think that Byron obviously has a good chance. Any of the Penske's are always up for it. I honestly think, though, that this might be a Ryan Blaney year again. Honestly, I think he's just performed such miracle works this season, and it's not over yet. So, yeah, I'm gonna as of right now, my pick for the win for the playoffs is gonna be Blaney. So, yeah, let's see how well that ages. And then we have F1 to talk about. F1 coming back. F1 came back. What a race. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, I think I don't necessarily have all the answers I want for this show in terms of making it more engaging than it is. I think that there's a way for me to talk about things, in a way that is more engaging and interesting and fun. And I want to find that way. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna just be a little real at the end of this episode. I get really self-conscious being here. I get lots of imposter syndrome, which is really normal. But when you're doing something obviously that is new. And, I listen to a lot of podcasts since I started this. And, I think that, sorry, while this is such a fun thing to do. And once I'm, in the middle of talking and doing it, I'm not even thinking about the time or the pressure or that I put myself or whatever. But, the thought of you all watching this and me sounding like an idiot and not knowing what I'm talking about, or feeling like I'm not knowing what I'm talking about, and sitting here and thinking about it sometimes, or beforehand or going up to it, makes it I don't know, it's really been bringing me down and discouraging me from actually enjoying this and going about to do this. And I'm trying not to let that win, because this is that growing pain as you start to do something new. And I want to challenge myself because this is fun, and I like sharing this, and I like listening to the podcasts that I listen to and hearing their thoughts about things. And I tune in every week to know what they thought about the games, or the races of the previous weekend, because I also listen to a lot of sport podcasts for NFL, NBA, MLB. And I want to be able to give you that same feeling that I get when I, all right, let me listen to NFL Daily today. Let me listen to Heed the Call, or Baseball is Dead, or, The Ringer, NBA group show, like group chat. Like, I want to be able to give you that same feeling. So, and I feel like I've been failing at that the last several episodes, honestly, and I want to do better. So, yeah, it's got a little deep here, but I feel like this is maybe my place to also be a little open and vulnerable on the internet. Just talk about things like this, with you guys, and hopefully this is stuff that you enjoy. So, thank you again for listening. I say it every episode. It means the world to me that anybody listens to this at all for any amount of time. So if you sat through this entire episode, thank you. If you have sat through 2 minutes of any video, thank you. If you sat through 2 seconds of any video, thank you. I really appreciate every single view that I get, and every single like that I get, and every single comment. And I know that this show will get better as I get better. So appreciate you guys going on this road with me. With that, we're going to end our episode on a little nice, positive group hug moment. I really love racing. I'm really excited to keep, the cogs turning, thinking about things for the show, trying to be analytical, and bring you my thoughts, my thoughts on what's going on. So, yeah, appreciate you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And whatever you're doing right now, I hope you feel peace in your heart. So, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.